allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Here.
Mr. Franco.
I'm here.
Mr. Cabrera.
I am here in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. The notice requirements have been satisfied as to the time, place, and date of holding said meeting by posting notice on the bulletin board here in Borough Hall and by mailing and emailing same to the Herald of Cape May County on October 4, 2023, and the Press of Atlantic City on December 13th, 2023. In the event of an emergency, your exit is going to be the way you come in, our front left, your back right, our front right, or your front left just by the American flag. Nikki, you have a sound check. Are we good to go? Okay. All right, a couple quick announcements. This meeting is being shown live here today on the borough's Facebook and YouTube channel. There's a conference line that's been advertised along with the agenda that sits right up here. If anybody who's watching remotely wants to call in and make a comment or ask a question, you're going to dial the number 888-363-4734, and when prompted, you're going to enter the access code 9699020 followed by the pound or the hashtag. In the event you watch the recorded version of this meeting and you have questions or would like to make a statement or comment, you can email our clerk at clerk@wildwoodcrest.org or phone her at 609-729-8040. Madam Clerk, we have 3 ordinances for this evening.
That's correct. The first is Ordinance 1429 regarding amending floodplain fees.
Motion that ordinance number 1429 be placed on second reading and final passage by title only.
I'll second it.
It has been moved and seconded that ordinance number 1429 be placed on second and final reading by title only.
Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Ordinance 1429 reads as follows. An ordinance of the Borough of Wildwood Crest, amending and supplementing Chapter 36, entitled Floodplain Management Regulations of the Code of the Borough of Wildwood Crest, amending fees for floodplain development permits.
Motion that a public hearing now be held on ordinance number 1429.
I'll second that.
It has been moved and seconded that a public hearing on ordinance number 1429 now be held.
Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes. Floor is open for any public comment on ordinance number 1429. We'll start with anybody here in the audience today. Hearing none, we'll go to the conference line. Anybody, public comment on ordinance number 1429? Hearing none.
Motion that a public hearing on ordinance number 1429 now be closed.
I can second that.
It has been moved and seconded that the public hearing on ordinance number 1429 now be closed.
Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Motion that ordinance number 1429 be passed on second and final reading and advertised according to law.
Second that.
It has been moved and seconded that ordinance number 1429 be passed on second and final reading and advertised according to law.
Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is Ordinance 1430, and it's a bond ordinance.
Motion that ordinance number 1430 be placed on second reading and final passage by title only.
Second that.
It has been moved and seconded that ordinance number 1430 be placed on second and final reading by title only.
Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Ordinance 1430 reads as follows. The bond ordinance appropriating $8 million and authorizing the issuance of $7,558,070 bonds or notes of the borough for various improvements or purposes authorized to be undertaken by the Borough of Wildwood Crest in the County of Cape May, New Jersey.
Motion that a public hearing now be held on ordinance number 1430.
Second that.
It has been moved and seconded that a public hearing on ordinance number 1430 now be held.
Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes. Floor is open for public comment on ordinance number 1430.
Dave McWilliams, last month you approved the budget for the year. Is this bond ordinance a subset to that budget that was approved?
Yes.
That's a yes? Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody on the conference line? Public comments? Ordinance number 1430. Hearing none.
Motion that a public hearing on ordinance number 1430 now be closed.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the public hearing on ordinance number 1430 now be closed.
Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Motion that ordinance number 1430 be passed on second and final reading and advertised according to law.
Second it.
It has been moved and seconded that ordinance number 1430 be passed on second and final reading and advertised according to law.
Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Okay, next we have ordinance 1431, and it reads as follows. An ordinance of the Borough of Wildwood Crest amending section 85-97 signs, Article 15, Chapter 85, Land Development, to regulate murals on buildings and other structures in the Borough of Wildwood Crest.
Motion that ordinance number 1431 be passed on first reading, advertised according to law, be brought up for second and final reading and public hearing on May 8th, 2024 at 9:30 a.m.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that ordinance number 1431 be passed on first reading, advertised according to law, be brought up for second and final reading and public hearing on May the 8th, 2024 at 9:30 a.m.
Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next, we have the resolutions. The first is authorizing the use of funds designated for the Borough of Wildwood Crest from fiscal year 2023 and 2024 Wildwoods Urban Enterprise Zone Assistance Funds for the New Jersey Avenue Streetscape Project implementation.
I'll motion it.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing the sale of surplus property no longer needed for public use on an online auction website.
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is amending licensing agreement between the Borough of Wildwood Crest and the Dolphin Swim Club for the use of the Joseph Von Savage Pool for years 2024 through 2026 for additional hours at the hourly prescribed rates per year.
Motion.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is referring the redevelopment plan to the planning board for a master plan consistency review.
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is waiving special events application additional fees to the Greater Wildwood Yacht Club.
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing refund of special events additional application fee to Delmo Sports LLC.
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing refund of property taxes or utilities overpayment made payable to Loretta and First Citizens Community Bank.
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing waiver of the fee required for special event application by the Wildwood Crest School District to host a graduation ceremony at Centennial Park on June 13th, 2024, from 5 to 7 p.m.
Motion.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing expenditure to purchase a 2025 Western Star 47X setback axle truck for Public Works under state contract.
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing an emergency appropriation for the purchase of setback axle truck pursuant to NJS 40A:4-48.
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Lastly is authorizing approval of change order number 4, Beach Patrol Headquarters renovations to reflect additional work of additional AZAC of the first floor and attic finish credits, additional piping for plumbing layout, and additional floor drain at the not-to-exceed sum of $15,462.42.
Motion.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Motion that all bills properly authorized as submitted be paid.
Second that?
It's been moved and seconded that all bills properly authorized as submitted be paid. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Motion that all reports received from the court administrator, chief financial officer, tax collector, chief of police, supervisor for the recreation department, construction official, emergency services coordinator for the EMS, and Wildwood Crest Volunteer Fire Company chief for the month ending March 31st, 2024 be accepted as presented.
Motion?
Can I get a second?
Sorry, second. Yep.
It's been moved and seconded that all reports received from the court administrator, chief financial officer, tax collector, chief of police, supervisor for the recreation department, construction official, emergency services coordinator for the EMS, and the Wildwood Crest Volunteer Fire Company chief for the month ending March 31st, 2024 be accepted as presented. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Motion that all minutes from the commission's meeting dated March 27th, 2024 and April 9th, 2024 be approved as presented.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that all minutes from the commission meetings dated March 27th and April 9th, 2024 be approved as presented. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
And Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Thanks, Judge.
You're welcome.
Okay, under correspondence, there's none listed. We have our public safety reports. We'll start with Chief Ward.
Good evening, governing body, public. I'm going to go over some highlights from my report to the Commissioner of Public Safety for the month of March 2024. In March 2024, we had 1,393 calls for service, 113 criminal investigations, 296 service calls, which include alarms, citizen assists, fires, medical assists, school-related activities, and utility complaints. We had 122 motor vehicle stops with 41 traffic summonses issued. We conducted 379 property checks, did 401 hours of training, and we had 15 adult arrests and 1 DWI. Also, I just wanted to highlight some of those arrests. The following were a product of excellent proactive police work by our officers. Out of those 15 arrests, we charged 10 counts of possession of CDS, or a controlled dangerous substance, to include methamphetamine, cocaine, Suboxone, and other prescription medications that weren't prescribed to the offender. 10 counts of possession of CDS paraphernalia, including hypodermic needles, spoons, scales, and 6 weapons offenses, one being a handgun, which had no serial number. It's referred to as a ghost gun, and one for a BB gun, which was found with an amount of methamphetamine, and one for a taser by a subject who is considered a certain person not to possess a weapon. Out of those, 5 of those were the result of a positive indication by our narcotics canine, which resulted in the seizure of the CDS and/or weapons. So I just wanted to highlight that. Our officers are doing a lot of excellent proactive police work, and they're out there looking. So if you intend on doing something wrong in Wildwood Crest, it's highly likely we're going to locate you. So I do want to also mention May 1st, which is Wednesday, our traffic lights will be going back to normal operation. So keep an eye out for that, and stop for our red lights and make sure we're not running them. So unless the governing body or anybody from the public has any questions, that is my report.
Thanks, Chief. Well done, Chief. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. EMS Supervisor and Coordinator, Mr. Cripps.
Evening, everybody. For the month of March, we had 55 calls for service. Out of those, 3 were cardiac emergencies, 3 fall victims, 5 standard medical emergency evaluations, 5 psychiatric emergencies, 3 respiratory emergencies, 2 unconscious, and a host of mutual aid. We received once from Wildwood, and we aided Wildwood 7 times, as well as Lower Township 6 times. 3 highlights I have for you all is, I spoke at last month's meeting about the File of Life. We received our equipment for that, and basically we will start our program. We've established a guideline with that regarding anytime that we go to a resident's home, if they have information, they can provide us with that, because there might be a time where they may not be able to tell us what's going on. They might be unconscious themselves. And this is to all families within the borough of Wildwood Crest. But it also elaborates, it gives us information on family, who to contact as well, and this will be part of our CAD system with the county. Our department, we had sent members to a tactical emergency critical care. It's a 2-day course which was held here. Thank you to the Wildwood Crest Volunteer Fire Company. We were able to host that. We had 24 students. Out of the 24, we had 4, as well as myself. I was there as to learn to become an instructor with that. So that's something that we're going to work with Chief Lloyd and his crew regarding any of that with Rescue Task Force or active threat and mass casualties. And finally, our department was asked to participate with the United States Coast Guard in their active threat drill at the Coast Guard base. It was a success. We did find, as a group, some failures, which that was the point behind the drill. So, but there was a lot of positives, and that was held on Tuesday, March 28th. And again, that covers, sadly, active threat and Rescue Task Force and mass casualty incidents. So if anyone, the public or the governing body has any questions as well.
Thanks, Bill.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you, folks.
Okay, moving right along. Brings us to our administrator's report.
Thank you. Our beach bump out on the Rambler and North project. This project was awarded to South State. It's currently under construction. We have multiple crews working on this daily, and our work is expected to be completed in late May and on schedule. The Crest Arts Pavilion, Fred Chavone's crew has done an outstanding job on this project, and it's almost complete. We have a few picnic tables, couple of trash receptacles, and a shade structure, which are on order and expected to arrive in the next few weeks. The parking area will be paved by the end of next week. The fences will be removed to protect just the parking area in advance of the Creative Arts Council's art show, which I highly encourage everyone to attend. That will be this Friday at 6 p.m. So the grounds will look really nice for that event. The Hereford Inlet to Cape May Inlet Beach and Dune construction, this Army Corps project, the DEP has requested de Blasio and Associates provide a proposal to survey the parcels on the beach where the construction will occur on behalf of the borough. We will be reimbursed for this work through the DCA and HUD, and a proposal from Mark's office is forthcoming. So he will do the work, we will pay for it, and we will be reimbursed through those programs. The New Jersey Avenue project, Mark de Blasio and I met with County Engineer Bob Church and Paul Cinco. He is a consultant for T&M Associates that was hired by the county to plan for the infrastructure improvements in advance of the county's roadway diet project. This project will be bid as one project, with the Crest being responsible for lighting, parking lots, landscaping, beautification, upgrades, etc. This project is expected to commence in 2025 and will take place first with sewer infrastructure beneath the road. It is the better part of a 2-year project, similar to what we saw on Pacific Avenue. Sunset Lake State Channel dredging, I have nothing new to report this time, but we'll be meeting with Scott Douglas on May 1st, and I will try to get some updates at that time. There are no new CAFR applications to speak of. Our Bayside Pump Station Flood Mitigation Project, we are still awaiting word from FEMA currently on our $12 million application to the BRIC program, and we also did receive news that Congressman Van Drew's office is attempting to secure funding in the fiscal year 2025 congressional priority funding in the tune of about $1 million to put towards this project. Washington Avenue flood mitigation, same. We applied to FMA, which is another federal grant through FEMA, and we are awaiting word on that. We should be hearing sometime in June. Fiscal year 2023 Small Cities ADA, we were awarded a grant to renovate the bathrooms here in the municipal building. The amount of that grant was $342,000 approximately. It's 2023 DCA money, and it is currently under design, and that renovation should be we should be undergoing renovations in the later part of this year. Cape May County Local Road Safety Plan, which is also known as the LSRP. The South Jersey Transportation Planning Organization is funding a program with the county to identify and prioritize strategies to reduce injuries, fatal and serious crashes from motor vehicle crashes, and they are right angle crashes and pedestrian and motor vehicle crashes. The next meeting for that project is May 17th, and shortly thereafter, the draft plan should be ready to give to the governing bodies and then to the public. That's all I have.
Okay, governing body, any questions for Connie?
Thank you. Thanks, Connie. No, I'm fine.
Public, any questions for Connie? Conference line, anybody? Okay, Mr. de Blasio, you're up.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. The contractor for the reconstruction of Orchard Road has completed all of the work with the exception of the surface course paving. So we anticipate that final paving being done well ahead of time of the Memorial Day weekend. Similar good news, the contractor for the Park Boulevard sanitary sewer emergency has completed all of the pipe installation, which was the more precarious portion of the project. All that pipe is in, and now we're just waiting for them to button up and allow some settlement and come back to repave the roadway. As Connie had mentioned, the Crest Arts Pavilion is really shaping up well at this point. We're down to parking lot improvements and pergola, but it's looking like a really beautiful project. You should check it out. Similarly, Connie mentioned that the Beach Street and Public Access Improvement Phase 3 is approximately 60% complete. We've had no indication that we have any issues there, so that project's being completed on time and on budget. The pre-construction meeting for the 2024 road resurfacing project was held on April 18th. That contractor is South State Incorporated, and they have indicated that they are starting work the week of May 6th. And knowing that contractor, they're going to move that project very quickly. Lastly, under grant applications, our office submitted the grant application for the reconstruction of Stockton Road to the NJDOT LTPF program on April 2nd. That's a revolving program, so we don't have a deadline when we're going to hear on a result, but we're going to monitor that, and hopefully it's a positive result. That is my report.
Okay, governing body, Mr. de Blasio, any questions?
All good. All good. Thanks, Mark.
Good. Public, any questions for our engineer?
Michael Garrick, just had a question. I remember hearing, I think it was at the last meeting, about the sewer on Park Boulevard. Has the cause of that been determined, and is that being addressed?
So you're referring to the emergency repair that's
Yes.
going on in Park
Yeah.
from, I think it's 2 blocks from Sweetbriar to Columbine?
I believe that's correct.
Yes,
Yes.
okay. So there was a back pitch that was there. We can't say with 100% certainty what caused it, but we feel rather confident based on the items that we're pulling out of our sanitary sewer system belongs to the industrial business that's located on New Jersey Avenue. So there's been some follow-up and internal meetings about how the municipality is going to move forward with addressing not only that, but some other issues concerning that parcel.
Will you keep us posted as to what happens with that?
Yes, so depending on which way it goes, some of it's stuff we'll be able to advise, and some of it we may not. So we're just gonna, we'll let you know as best we can.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else? Questions for our engineer? Okay, that brings us to our first round of public comments. Anybody have any public comments before we move into the discussion items? And there's really not much there's nothing under new business.
Good afternoon, Jim McGinty. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Commissioners. How's everybody? Last year, a borough resident had brought up an issue about the beach benches, dedication of a beach bench in reference to a loved one. And the discussion went that unfortunately there's only so many benches. And then they brought up the fact that, well, how about a name being put on the back of a lifeguard stand? And not sure whatever happened to that. So what I like to do is make that recommendation again, to just be, considered to be the name of a loved one in memorial, to be put on the back of a lifeguard stand. And I like to give my reason why. I know, we're a family community, and basically generation after generation comes here. I am one of those generations. In fact, I met my wife here while I was a lifeguard, and we're going to celebrate 50 years of marriage come September. My wife's father and her mother have met here. My son and his wife have met here. And within those 3 generations, we, of course, now we're blessed with our grandchildren. But unfortunately, not lack of tragedy. My wife and I had lost our 16-year-old son. And his love of the beach, when no doubt would have followed in his father's footsteps and also been a lifeguard. So the only thing we have now, of course, is his memory and sharing those memories with our grandchildren. And their love of this beach is as strong in us as, you know, as it is in, is as strong as them and as it is in us. In fact, my granddaughter is now a lifeguard on this beach. So that family tradition continues. So what we were hoping for is that if that would be reconsidered, that I don't think there's any obstacle that maybe we couldn't overcome to make it happen. Maybe even the monies from the people who would donate to have the sign put up would also maybe possibly offset some of the cost of the 2 lifeguards sitting on that stand. Either their cans or their beach umbrella or, you know, maybe uniforms. But I'd like to ask the commissioners and the mayor to reconsider this request. And if approved, I stand here in front of you as a member of the eldest member of the McGinty family to have my son Ryan's memory be first in line for Buttercup Road, if this happens. So with that, I thank you for your time and appreciate the consideration. And I was hoping that maybe it could be put on the amendment so that we would know what happens as a result of the request.
Yeah, sorry for your loss. I wasn't aware of that part of it.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry for your loss. I wasn't aware of your son.
Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate that.
Okay, so the request is, so everyone's clear, just to make sure, is to, as we have memorial benches in the borough, is to have some sort of memorial opportunity for the lifeguard stands on the beach. That's correct. Right? Okay. So that falls pretty much on, I mean, that falls under Commissioner Schiff and Chief Johnson. So can we list it under old business as a follow-up, and then you guys can have
We can discuss it again if you'd like.
discuss it, and then
Unfortunately, there are some problems with it. I'll get into that later, okay? But I'll run it by Chief to see what he has to say.
Thank you.
Do we have any room to squeeze a bench in there? On Buttercup?
No,
No, I understand. Well, do we have room down there to put another bench in case this doesn't work out?
for where? The beach patrol?
No, for
street ends?
the street end. Where we tight.
No, they're all, I think they're pretty much all booked up, and Mr. Shearer?
Okay, just thought I'd ask.
Yeah.
Thank you.
3 to 5 year waiting list. Okay, anybody else? Public comment?
Dave McQuaid, just a question. Back on the resolutions 9 and 10, one is an authorization to expend and to buy a truck, and the second is an emergency appropriation. Is that the same vehicle we're buying
Yeah.
once I'm open?
Yes.
Okay, why do we need 2 steps?
So the one is to authorize the actual purchase for state contract, and the other one is to deem it as an emergency, because it's part of our recycling and trash dumpsters that, based on the size of the containers, we need to have this truck in order to get them away, get them out, get the trash and debris off the yard.
Okay.
Yep. It requires a special, or no, it doesn't require us, but it used to be a special CDL license that we needed, but it's no longer needed with the purchase of this truck. Okay, anybody else?
I'm Mike Marino, and Joe, I have a couple questions for you concerning the Beach Patrol Complex. So you are the project manager, right? You're not?
Right there.
Okay. Well, here are my questions. When is the project going to be completed? Last year, I heard it was January 2024.
So I believe that this contractor's on target for a mid-June completion.
July.
Okay.
July, okay. My next question is, I guess, are we still on budget? I know initially it was 1.8 million. Tonight I heard additional cost. I'm guessing that they're part of it. So what is the total cost to that? And what is the impact on taxpayers?
Mark, you have that number? Because I don't have it.
I would
off the top
have
of
to
my head.
look, I would
That's the
have
only
to,
change order so far in the contingencies.
I'd have to have the change, I'd have to have the change order documentation, but there have been some change orders that have been for the project. It's a renovation, so there's been a lot of unforeseens when you do that type of work. But to answer that question, I'd have to,
This is the only one that exceeds the contingency, I believe. 15.6.
so, the original contract was $2,054,334. And with this approved change order tonight, that takes the contract to $2,194,775, which is a to-date net increase of 7.58%.
Okay. Does the taxpayer pay some of that cost, with this project going up? Does that, or does that come out of the bond? Okay. All right, so we're going to wind up over the 1.8, we're going to be over 2 million. Is it 2.2, or are we thinking 2.3, or what was your estimate, or the cost you just?
So the original contract amount was $2,054,000, so that was the bid that came in. This contract amendment takes it to $2,194,775.
Okay.
So I would guess that along this journey, we might see some additional work. I don't know, maybe 2.5.
2.5, okay. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Anybody else? Public comment?
Michael Garrick. I see we're still going to be talking about the Seaview Avenue, Seaview and Rosemary lot, but I just had one question about it. Everything references in the bid proposal that there's a bid document. I'm guessing that bid document contains more of the relevant information. Wondering, where do we find it?
I'm happy to give you a copy.
Okay, so it's not on the website or anything?
It's the request for the proposals on the website, but you contact me and I'll send it right to you.
Okay, thank you. And just to follow up, anything done with all those feral cats from a month or so
We
ago?
did call Steve Sirwad, he's working on it.
Okay,
We did call him though, he's our animal control.
okay. Yeah, because the other individuals are still out there feeding them, so.
They're only allowed to feed the ones that are part of the trap neuter release. Anything else they're not allowed to.
Yeah, well,
I know, he's been contacted and then he has to turn it over to someone who can actually summons the person.
Okay. Yeah, I've been taking pictures of their cars.
Okay.
so. If you guys see plates, let me know.
Okay.
Like, I can grab that for you when we're done.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Public comments? Anybody on the conference line have any public comments? First round, we have another round coming. Okay, so moving on the agenda, there's nothing listed under new business. I'll breeze through the old business. We do have a closed session on for this evening. So first one is the Mr. Hall stat. So I think we discussed this at length at the last meeting. My understanding is there was a resolution found for Mr. Hall. I believe that Connie reached out to.
Send him an email
Okay.
explaining what the process would be and what you all agreed upon.
Okay, all right,
There will be a resolution in the future if he qualifies,
gotcha.
based on the recommendation of the tax collector.
Okay, for all intents and purposes there, from a governing body standpoint, the matter's been addressed.
Yes.
Is that a fair statement? Okay, can we can
Yes,
remove
sir.
that? All right. Proposed amendment to ordinance number 1432. So that's on hold, directly tied to the employee parking for the lot that Mark's office, his engineer Jake laid out a plan. I believe that was circulated to everybody. I believe we did receive some internal comments. Those changes have been made. I believe there was a cost estimate that was circulated.
today.
And I think that,
Just got it.
I think that
Sent it
was,
before we came.
in round numbers, if I recall correctly, it was 35,000 if we could do it as a change order. So that's the cheapest, best route to seal coat, stripe, concrete the lot, and add the parking spaces, stripe the parking spaces along Pacific and along the front of Cardinal Road, right? So I forwarded that to everybody, and then I would just
You
have.
forwarded it to me, and then I forwarded it to the governing body
Okay.
this afternoon when I received it.
All right, so then if, we would need that Mark and Francine to kind of weigh in on all that and figure out if there's an opportunity to move forward with that, assuming that the governing body is okay with that.
I have to look at the email first. No, I didn't see
Yeah,
the
I haven't seen it
the
yet.
money yet.
Came right before the meeting,
Yeah.
like I said.
No
No one
problem.
would have had a chance to look at it yet.
Okay. Lot on Rosemary and Seaview, we can strike that. Concession agreement, hotel zone, beach chairs is on hold. Traffic calming, I believe that there is a traffic study engineering meeting next week, scheduled with Colliers.
Correct.
All right, back beach excavation is on hold. On that note, Public Works has advised that they will start the preparatory beach work starting May 1st, when their seasonal staffs come back, so you'll see the tractors and the rakes going to town, starting May 1st. Am I correct on that, Mr. Shear?
Correct.
All right. Dredging, anything, Constance?
No, I will speak to Scott Douglas next week on May 1st at the transaction conference and get an update.
Okay. New Jersey Avenue infrastructure pre-county, Connie mentioned that in her administrator's report. Public Works roof, so in the bond that we had tonight, so the Public Works roof is included in that bond, so that project is estimated to start somewhere in September or early October. Bayside outfalls and capacity bulkheads and replacement. Mr. Blasio, correct me if I'm wrong, we are in essence ready to go out to bid on this project. The funding is put in place as of tonight with, well, let me just say, by sometime in May, the funding will be available, but we're certainly not gonna start a project in the middle of summer, so we were ready to roll right after the summer. Fair statement?
Yep.
Okay. And then there's the outstanding issue of addressing the owners who have right-of-way issues has to be done. So there needs to be a letter that gets communicated to them, and then meeting set up between the engineer, potentially Mr. Galzonis and Connie, to advise them as to what is possible and what's not possible and what their costs may be as we move forward with the project. Right?
Yep.
Okay. All right, Washington Seaview Avenue, beach outfalls and capacity. Connie mentioned that in her report. We're just waiting to hear back on the grants from there. All right, so that brings us to last round of public comments before we head into closed session.
Dave McWilliams, at back beach excavation. I'm assuming we're talking about between the street and the dunes south of Rambler. Several years ago, we did a big project, moved a lot of dirt, a lot of sands. Is that what we're doing again?
No, so there is some flooding, as we all know, there's some ponding that goes on after some heavy storms and rainy seasons. We had it on there to potentially do that. However, we are moving closer to the Army Corps and the DEP, what I'll call the New Dune project. Part of that project is the excavation and the grading of that back beach. So there's no need to spend money when it's going to be part of that major project.
And then this is an old subject. About this time last year, I left the meeting thinking that dogs were going to be permitted on the beach certain hours. Maybe I was mistaken in my impressions. I left that meeting because, as I understand, that did not happen. And is there any consideration to allowing dogs on the beach before and after, like most of the other communities on the island?
So I'll if I can recap that, so that we did discuss that, and I think the idea was potentially to allow for it before lifeguard bathing hours, so to speak, and after, but for a certain period of time. We were just waiting for recommendations, I think, with respect to beach patrol and public safety as to whether or not that's doable. And anybody else that may potentially have an issue. I have not personally heard of any of the various recommendations for or against, so certainly we can put it back on the, back on the under old business and have everybody weigh in on it, if that's a possibility. But I know that, to your point, I know that our other sister communities, I think there are some times that do allow that to happen. And I know there was also potentially some concern with whether or not DEP, and there's this new law coming out, or it's coming out that has to do with the migratory birds and so
Changes
forth.
to the coastal management.
Yeah, so I know
rules.
that was an issue as well. So if I could ask that we could place it back under old business, and then we can internally we could do our homework and come back and address it. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd like to hear, decide we're just not gonna do it, that's fine, okay? But
Yeah.
I'd like for some, no, we're not, and here's why, or yes, we are. Because a year ago, I left thinking, yeah, we are.
Right. I think there was a general consensus that it was okay, but I believe it was all contingent upon the department heads, the people that do the work day in and day out, and they should have to enforce it and clean it and all that, waiting for them to weigh in. So I think that's where the ball was dropped, if for lack of a better term. So we're going to put it back on, and we'll bring it back up again, and we'll keep it under old business.
Okay.
All right. Sir?
Mike Marino, did we touch traffic calming tonight? Did we touch on that in an update?
Yeah, so the traffic study, so Connie mentioned about the LSRP in her report, and then there's a traffic
study
engineer
Colliers.
meeting with Colliers Engineering. I forget the date, I think it's next Thursday or Friday, with Chief and company and some others.
Okay,
Right?
thank
Yep. Anybody else? Public comments, last round, before we move into closed session. Anybody on the conference line? Hearing none, we'll move to commissioner comments.
I'll start at this time. I'd like to send our condolences to Joe Salerno's family. His wife passed away, Ann, a few days ago. So I just wanted to reach out and say something like that. I also like to comment on the front entrance. It looks very nice. It was redone and painted. I would really like to start discussing doing the police department side. The front entrance there really needs some help. So I'd like if we could take a look at that eventually. Other than that, that's all I have.
Just a quick announcement, Friday morning is Arbor Day, and we're having an event at Washington Park honoring former employee and resident Amanda Hollins. That is open to the public, so we're dedicating a tree for her. So that should be a nice event. Hope that everyone can possibly show up for that.
What time?
10 a.m.
It's at Washington.
And then the art show is
That's
at
at the,
6.
Washington Avenue Park.
Washington Avenue
Yeah.
Park.
That's right at
The
the
tree is already planted.
park
We
right there, the
dedicated.
playground by the school.
Yes, and Lomax and Associates, I believe they donated the tree, if I'm
That's
not
nice.
mistaken. Mr. McGinty happens to be the green team chair, so you ready to roll? All right. Just last thing I have to follow up on my fellow commissioners' comments is, again, there is an event at the Crest Arts Pavilion this Friday. If you do get a chance, take a look at the exterior of the property. Again, that was funded by the Cape May County Open Space Program. It's a very unique and different look for the Arts Pavilion. I think you'll enjoy it. As we get closer to summer, you're going to see a lot of activity. Our seasonal staff is coming back, and it's going to be like craziness over the next month, just trying to get the municipality cleaned up, ready to roll. So I would ask everybody for their patience as we handle things like weeding and mulch and grass cutting and painting and all that good stuff. We try to keep the staff down to a minimum as best as we can. But you can rest assured by the time Memorial Day rolls around, everything will be looking just as good as it always has. So thank you for your patience, and I'll entertain a motion to take a 5-minute break before we head into closed session.
I just have to read the resolution.
Go ahead.
So it's authorizing executive closed session in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, specifically NJSA 10:4-12B, with regard to potential litigation.
Motion?
I'll second.
All in favor?
All right.
5:44.
Okay, I'm gonna hang